What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, man? This is a late night recap show, guys. The New York Mets have clutched it. They have made it into the postseason. The New York Mets are officially in the postseason. Huge, 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 crazy, crazy, crazy. I I I couldn't even believe it, man. That game was a game for the ages. A game for the ages. Honestly, it was a great game. It was a great game between the Braves and the Mets. What a game. Edwin Diaz comes down, he falls and then he comes back and picks it up. I mean, just amazing. Honestly, amazing. It was what you wanted to see out of Edwin Diaz. It was what you wanted to see. His redemption is what you wanted to see. But this was a gutsy win by the New York Mets. It was something that the Mets desperately needed. And I'm just really happy with the Mets performance. I'm really happy with the way it came about because I was just like, this game is a roller coaster. You couldn't even make it up with this game. So with this game, the New York Mets have, clutch. Well, Lindor was clutch, but they have clinched a postseason berth here. And now the New York Mets are moving on to the Brewers tomorrow. Literally not a lot of time when it comes to, the New York Mets and postseason baseball. They don't get no chance to breathe. They really just get tonight and that's it. They go right to playing baseball tomorrow. And I think when it comes to the New York Mets, Francisco Lindor, I mean, what a job Francisco Lindor has done. Honestly, just what a job. Francisco Lindor, what he has been through, with the back injury, coming back, hitting that home run in Milwaukee, completely huge, man, when it comes to a guy that's clutch. You want a guy that's clutch, and Francisco Lindor, man, it's just amazing what he's done. It's amazing. And I love it. I honestly love it. I really feel good about this team. I feel good about Lindor. I feel good about what happened today. Just a great overall day for the New York Mets. You had to win game one. There was two games to win, but you had to win one and they won one. And I'm happy with the Mets performance. I think when it comes down to the New York Mets, the Mets did a great job. They had to win this game. Swollenback looked really, really good for 7 innings against the Mets. And then he goes in the eighth inning, and Tyrone Taylor has an at bat that I just love, honestly. It was a great at bat for Tyrone Taylor. He comes through, he does what he needs to do. And it's like it was an 11 pitch at bat. He gets a double, and that starts the party. That gives the Mets some life. And after that, they got going. They started getting some hits. And it was really good to see. Really good to see baseball. Really good to see Francisco Lindor coming through, Tyrone Taylor coming through, Francisco Alvarez coming through. Beautiful to see. When it comes to the New York Mets, that is something you need to see as a New York Mets fan. And I love it. I honestly love it. I feel really, really good about where the Mets are headed. And it was just a gutsy win. Like, I was not expecting it. I don't think any Met fan was expecting to win this game easily or win. Honestly, as a Met fan, did you think that you were going to win one game in this stadium? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I wanted to win this game as a Met fan. Obviously, you want to win this game as a Met fan. But going into this game, going into this Atlanta stadium, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen in Atlanta. And Atlanta has had the New York Mets number, and they had to win this game. They did what they had to do, and I loved it. Honestly, man, like, what a gutsy win by the New York Mets. A real gutsy win, and I just honestly love it. Like, Francisco Lindor came up so clutch. I know he's been dealing with this back injury, but wow, he has just shown why he's the man, why he's our MVP, why he's the Mets MVP, why is he that great, why the contract is worth it for this guy. Francisco Lindor is a guy you want up right now with the bases loaded. In a big situation, you want Francisco Lindor up. You do not want Pete Alonso up because he doesn't do much, but you want Francisco Lindor. And Francisco Lindor is playing out of his mind. I just love it. I honestly love it. But what a clutch home run. I just feel really, really good about where the Mets are headed. And let's talk about Diaz though. Edwin Diaz, man, he blows it in the ninth inning. The Mets have a 6-3 lead. Phil Maton allows some guys on base, and then Edwin Diaz comes and he blows it. He honestly blows it, and it seems like his control was off. He wasn't getting strikes. He wasn't getting the calls, and I honestly just love it. Honestly, like it was just a really, really great moment for the New York Mets. But I think when it comes to Edwin Diaz, this was a crazy game for him. Like it was a crazy game to allow 3 runs and blow the save basically in the eighth inning, in the bottom of the eighth inning. It wasn't what you wanted to do as a Met fan. It wasn't what you wanted to see. But Edwin Diaz, man, I just 40 pitches thrown. He comes back in the ninth inning. The Mets take the lead again on a Lindor home run. And you see what happens. Like, it's just crazy. I honestly think it's insane. I think what the New York Mets fans, what they had to deal with today was just crazy. Like dealing with a situation with Edwin Diaz it was just a headache. Honestly, this was a headache of a game, a roller coaster, but it was a great game. It was the game of the ages. Like for the New York Mets fans, this was a game that you loved as a Met fan. I know obviously we were down and then we were up and then we were down and then we came back. As a Met fan, it was a game for the ages. It really was. It was the game of the year. And this was the time where you had to beat this team. You had to beat the Atlanta Braves. You had to at least win one game to make the postseason, but you had to win this game to make a statement to the Atlanta Braves that, we're not going to just be down. We're going to win. And I loved it. I honestly love what the Mets attitude was. Ever since they lost those 2 games in Milwaukee, it seems like they put the eye black together. And it's just something like that brings the team together. And I feel like for the New York Mets fan, it brought the team together. It really did. And it could be the little things that bring the team together, but I honestly loved it. It was a great moment for a New York Mets fan. It was just the fact that we didn't even think that we were going to get here. Nobody thought they were going to get to the postseason in 2024. As a Met fan, did you think at the beginning of the year that you were going to get to the postseason? I did not think that at all. I did not think that. I thought there was a chance. But then with Sean Manaea, with Luis Severino, with Peterson being injured, with Senga being injured, you don't know. You didn't know what would happen. And I feel like for a Met fan, it was hard. It was crazy hard. Being 11 games under 500, it's like it was hopeless. It was hopeless. But the team came together, and ever since May 28th or May 29th, they came together and they did what they had to do. They did what they had to do, and they had the team meeting, and the team just came together beautifully. They just started playing real competitive baseball, and they got to where they wanted to be. And that is something beautiful that the New York Mets can always say. In 2024, we were 11 games under 500, and we did what we needed to do. We had the team meeting, and honestly, it was a great team meeting, and it worked out. It worked out because it got them all the way to the postseason. Now the New York Mets are in the postseason. They have clinched a postseason berth. It's amazing to see, but man, the wild ride is Edwin Diaz is going to take the Mets far. If Edwin Diaz is good, he's going to take the Mets far. If Edwin Diaz, the Mets are going to go as far as Edwin Diaz takes them, honestly, because he is the heart of the soul of the team, when it comes to closers. And then you got Francisco Lindor, who obviously is the real heart of the soul. But when it comes to the bullpen, Edwin Diaz is the guy you want to lock down. You want him to lock down, these guys, these big hitters. And a perfect example of Edwin Diaz really being on point was that 6-out save in Citi Field. It just felt amazing, striking out Harper, striking out, guys like Alec Bohm, the Phillies. Like, the the Mets got here for a reason. They did what they needed to do, and now they're in the postseason. Now they're in the postseason. But man, I mean, what a ride! What a roller coaster it's been as a Met fan. It's insane to me how that game was because you know, at a point, I was like, are we going to get to this guy, a swollen back? Like, this guy is so good against us. We can't even touch him. We can't even touch him. And then Tyrone Taylor has that 11 pitch at bat and gets him out. And then after that, they bring in Joe Jimenez and the Mets go off. They start getting hits. Starling Marte gets hits. You got Francisco Alvarez getting hits. And after swollen back, gets off the, gets out of the game, the Mets came back. The Mets did what they needed to do. And batter after batter, you see that the team was, that life was coming back to the New York Mets. And it was beautiful, beautiful to see. It was beautiful to see. And I loved it. I felt like as a Met fan, it was what you wanted to see. Like, this was a game for the ages. This is going to be a game that's talked about for probably some time, like especially if the Mets go farther, into the postseason. If they get past the Brewers, and the Brewers are going to be tough. I'm not going to lie to you. The Brewers are going to be tough. The Brewers are going to be a very, very tough team to beat because the Brewers are good. The Brewers are good. They run, they play defense, they got good pitching. I mean, when it comes to the Brewers, they're good. But the Mets, they got here, baby. They got here. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing that the New York Mets got here. Nobody thought the New York Mets was going to make the postseason in 2024. Nobody. When the start of the season happened, I did not see this happening. But I will say this was beautiful, beautiful moment, beautiful baseball. Honestly, it was a game that you needed to watch. Like, you needed to watch. If you're a Met fan, you had to watch that game. And that game just showed why I love baseball so much. That game just showed what I love baseball because, I know that people say baseball is boring. People say baseball is slow and all that. But I'm going to say that was a beautiful, beautiful moment for the New York Mets. It was something that they've been working for all season, that they literally went from the ground up, 11 games under 500 to, a playoff berth. It's just an amazing, amazing sight. And I think that the New York Mets are really in a good position. I think, now you got Severino going into tomorrow and you got to win that game. The New York Mets have to win that game. If they make a statement by winning game one, that would be great for the New York Mets. But I will say this game was a great game, man. And I got to talk about Lindor, man. I got to talk about him going 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and Nimmo with that big clutch home run to make the game 6-3. But Lindor with the home run to make the game 8-7. Like, when it comes to Brandon Nimmo and Lindor, they are the core of this team, and Alonso, and this is something that the Mets had to, get over. I know a lot of people say the core, it doesn't do nothing. Can they win with Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso? Can they actually win a baseball, season? And wow, I mean, what a game. But Nimmo coming up clutch, man. He got 1 hit in this game, but it was such a big hit. It was such a big hit, man. What's going on, Lane? How you feeling, man? How you feeling? What's going on, brother? Listen, man, Lane, as a Met fan, I am just completely happy. Honestly, like, this is something that we needed. As Met fans, we needed this. And this was such a great moment for New York Mets fans. It was such a roller coaster game. I loved it. I honestly do. Lindor, it was just so clutch. Like, he came up in big situations. He hit a home run the other day in Milwaukee. Doing this with a back injury is crazy. It's amazing to see. Let me see what Lane here says. Do you call up Brett Beatty? Brett Beatty is not even in the discussion. We're not even talking about Brett Beatty, man. Brett Beatty is man. It's about Mark Vientos. It's about Jose Iglesias. It's about Acuna. It's about those guys. And wow, I mean, let's talk about Jose Iglesias here. Jose Iglesias, he's become a heart and soul of this team as well. Just like Lindor, just like Nimmo, Jose Iglesias has rised up to the occasion. You know, that big RBI double against Raciel Iglesias, one of the best closers in the game. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But what I will say is Iglesias, a top-notch player, man. I mean, what a player, what a pickup for David Stearns. Like, nobody saw Jose Iglesias doing what he's doing now. Nobody saw him. He has a 21 game hitting streak now. You know, he's been clutch in big situations. He plays you great defense. He's been such a spark for this team. And I honestly love it. I honestly do. I really think that Jose Iglesias is a big part of this team. And I'm happy. I'm really happy with Jose Iglesias, man. But I got to talk about Lindor. And Lindor with the big clutch home run. I mean, as a Met fan, when we were watching this game, did we think that did we think that Lindor was gonna hit that home run? Like, knowing the Mets luck, knowing how being a Met fan is, you know, you thought that was gonna go to the warning track. And then he hits it deep, and Michael Harris is going to the warning track. And Gary Cohen, first of all, Gary Cohen said, you know, it's hit deep, but he didn't make it seem like it was gonna be a home run because he didn't even know. He didn't even know, but it was a home run, and the Mets ended up winning the game. But what I really want to talk about here is the redemption story with Edwin Diaz, because you blew a save. Edwin Diaz blew a save. It was 6-3 in the 8th inning, 2-man on. Phil Maton allows 2-man on, and Edwin Diaz comes, and all hell breaks loose. So Edwin Diaz and Raciel Iglesias not on point at all this game, but Edwin Diaz, he was mad. He allowed 3 runs. He allowed them to tie the game and take the lead. And take the lead, guys, with a 3-run lead. Like, it's crazy to me. So, but I will say, Edwin Diaz, he said, I want to go back out for the 9th. He said, I want to go back out for the 9th, and I'm going out for the 9th. Can I go for the 9th? Carlos Mendoza, with such a gut call, man, to bring this guy back in and say, we are going to win or lose with you, regardless. Me personally, as a Met fan, I don't even know if I would have brought Edwin Diaz in. After what he just did, he just blew that save. I probably would have, you know, brought up Jose Budo or Ryan Stanek in that situation. And I mean, but Mendoza, let's talk about Mendoza. What a manager he's been this year. Carlos Mendoza making that gut call, making that real manager baseball call to put Edwin Diaz back in the game, and he closes it out. So it was such a big moment. It was such a big moment for a New York Mets fan. Lane, who do the Mets play in the division series next? Well, that depends on the Padres and the Braves, who are going to be facing each other. So now, when it comes to, the Mets facing the Brewers, I gotta look up more information about that. But maybe after the Mets and the Brewers, they face somebody like the Dodgers or something like that. So we'll see. But I think it's gonna be tough. To, but the Mets are in. Plain and simple, the Mets are in, guys. I honestly love it. Like, as a Met fan, it's beautiful to watch. That game was a real beautiful game. It was such a great game to watch. As a baseball fan, it was a beautiful game to watch. And I love baseball, and that is a perfect reason why I love baseball. This game was such a perfect way of the Mets getting to the postseason. You gotta beat the Braves. You gotta beat the Braves, and I'm happy they got to the postseason by beating the Braves. And you could have won the games in Milwaukee, and you could have got into the postseason that way. But no, they lost those games, and they brought the heart together. They brought they lost the first 2 games in Milwaukee, and they said, you know what? Let's put the eye black on. Let's do something different. Let's get back into that mode. And they did. And they won that game, and then they won today. And I mean, you had to win in Milwaukee. You had to win at least one game in Milwaukee, and they did. And then they won that first game tonight and today. I mean, it was beautiful to watch. As a Met fan, honestly, it was a great to watch. And I'm just really, really happy. I'm happy, man. I feel really good about where the Mets are at. I feel good about how the Mets are playing. And I mean, Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor coming up clutch. Just beautiful to watch as a Met fan. Like Francisco Lindor is the heart and soul of this team. He really is. He really is. And I'm really happy to have Francisco Lindor on this team. When we signed this guy for 341 million, I felt like that was a lot. I felt like that was a lot of money, but this guy is the heart and soul of this team, and he's been playing out of his mind. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, guys. But I am excited. I feel good about what's going on. You got Severino going tomorrow. Severino will be pitching tomorrow. Severino, I feel like he's going to give us a good shot. I think Severino is a good pitcher, and I'm happy that, he's going to pitch game one. And I feel like the Mets with Severino, they can win. They can definitely win. Lane said, do you re-sign Pete Alonso or Sean Manaea or Luis Severino or Jose Quintana? Well, I would say for me, Pete Alonso, I don't know. I feel like this year, he just has not proven to be a clutch player. He hasn't been much for this team, to be honest. I feel like for Pete Alonso, I don't know. I'm just not seeing a future with Pete Alonso as a New York Met. As a New York Met, I'm really not. I don't know whether he's going to be a New York Met for life or not. I like Pete Alonso's attitude. I like, what he does for charity. He's a good guy. He really is a good guy, but he's just not a clutch player. And when we need a clutch moment, Pete Alonso just can't come through. He can't. And you see a clutch moment like tonight. You see a clutch moment like today with Francisco Lindor being down 2. Starling Marte gets a base hit, and Francisco Lindor hits a home run, and we take the lead. That is a clutch moment. That is a perfect example of a clutch player. And I am so happy that Francisco Lindor is on our side. So at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But man, I just wanted to make a recap video. I just wanted to talk about how I feel about the Mets clinching a postseason berth, because I feel amazing. It was an amazing game to watch. And man, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys for watching. You guys are really, really awesome. We're almost to 900 subscribers, guys. So I'm very, very happy. And I got more videos on the way. But definitely, this was a really great game to watch as a Met fan. And I'm just happy to be a Met fan. Maybe we won't win the World Series. Maybe we won't even go past the Brewers in the wild card. But this was a beautiful season regardless. Have a good one, guys. LFGM for life. I'm out of here.